Okay, the goal of this video is to get some chords or some kind of instrumental part on top of some drums. So I'm staying in the drum loops project that we created. I have my audio tracks muted. I'm going to hide them if you haven't already. I'm going to use drums 2 as my drum beat. So for the sake of this exercise, I am going to delete drums 1 by clicking on the X here, drums 3, and drums 4. Which means I can also get rid of the corresponding, why do I have the Smart Tool? The corresponding clips. Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to move this up. I am going to change this to 1 and 1. That's only so that I have my drums on the first track. I'm going to call this chords, for lack of a better word. I am going to head over to the shared drive, and there are a couple of files in the sampling 24 folder. I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick. Not really. I'm going to grab all 3 of these things. This is going to be for later. I'm going to drag them into my session, and it'll get me there. I'm going to mute. Actually, I'm only going to work with Adrian Baker in this demo. Okay. So similarly to one of the drum beats that we worked with, this is the downbeat. This is just kind of like an intro, and I'm not interested in it. So I'm going to place my cursor. I'm going to hit tab to transients, and I think that is a good place to start. And I'm going to count, I believe I've done this a little bit ahead of time. It's 2 measures for 2 2-measure sections. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So I'm listening for that change right there, and I think I can use tab to transients a couple more times. And I'm just going to listen to this as a loop. I hit Command D to cut it in both spots. Okay, I'm all right with that. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can kind of see it right there. So I'm going to just go behind it. Okay, so I'm going to call this Adrian Baker 1. So I'm just going to take that off. I'm going to call this Adrian Baker 2. And this is a pretty straightforward thing, and then I'm just going to try and get these to loop along with our drum. So I'm going to highlight both of those with my grabber tool. So I'm selecting all of it, shift and select. I'm going to come over to the clip list, files. Remember that it's going to my audio files again, so I need to choose, go up a level, which looks weird because it's down a level, and choose samples, and hit export. And I'm going to mute Adrian Baker, and I'm going to hide these audio tracks just to keep things nice and clean. All right, so I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to grab Adrian Baker 1 and drag it in. And for Adrian Baker, I don't like that it went ahead, so I'm going to change this to channel 2 and channel 2. This is already set to channel 2 and channel 2. If it was a new session, I'd have to set those as well. I'm going to open up the wrench, and I want to look at the mapping editor, because I do not need, although it sounds cool, I'm not going to lie, I don't need that, and I don't need that. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to shorten or narrow the mapping. And I'm going to drag this so that the yellow is on C2. That means that what was on C3 is on C2. It sounds exactly as recorded. Now, I can still use all this space here. I'm going to grab Adrian Baker 2 and drag it so that its root is on C3. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller because I don't think I'm going to go up high with it. And I'm going to click on one of them, click on the wave editor, Sync and Slice, Time Machine Pro. I'm going to come over here, Sync and Slice, Time Machine Pro. So now both of them should be in time. So I am going to go into the MIDI editor. I'm going to choose chords. And I'm going to, on C2, make a 2-measure note. And then on C3, I'm going to make a 2-measure note. Now, it doesn't sound perfect on its own, but along with the drum beat, I think it's going to sound pretty decent. Okay, so what I find useful about this is having these two things on in one instance of Kontakt, so you don't have to have a whole bunch of them. All right, so bounce out those 4 measures. I may choose the note that these sit on, but right now we have drums and some keys.